Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'd like to take this time to talk a little bit about the night sky and how that relates to current events. 2020 was astrologically one of the most dynamic times astrologically. And in 2021, we're going to revisit some of the themes, but from a different vantage point. And with yoga, you have an opportunity to tune into the night sky through your breath. And traditionally in yoga, we do sun salutations, but as well, you can bring in a moon salutation to really tune into the planets. And we're going to have a new moon on Tuesday, the 12th. It's going to be our first new moon of the year. And new moons are about setting intentions, and about new beginnings. And the moon will be right next to the sun. It will be conjunct in Capricorn. And Capricorn is that elder energy, looking long term. It's the builder. It's the one who creates that order, the structure. In the old paradigm that we saw sort of start to crumble in 2020 was that top-down structure. And on that new moon on the Tuesday, we're going to revisit some of those themes that we experienced beginning last January, where we had Pluto at the exact same spot as where this moon is going to be. And Pluto is about death and transformation. We have to die to the old in order to be reborn, in order to create room for the new. And we are really, truly in a new time. 2020 is gone. Nothing will ever be the same since. So we have to think about how we're going to move forward and how we want to build that structure. And by creating a practice through breath, tuning into your breath is the vehicle to universal energy that's abundant. And as you tune into your breath, you're bringing vitality to your body, your mind, your spirit. You're reconnecting to spirit. And never more before has it been so vital to have a practice while all these things around us are sort of crumbling. So as we tune in to our center, we're really aligning with what's true, because all these things that are going on outside, they want to sweep us away into that. But as we tune into what's really true, we start to shift our vibration, and we reflect that to others. And then it starts to shift the vibration of people around us. And there's going to be a slow collective shift as we start to do that. And maybe some of us are starting to wake up. So let's just take this time to think about how we want to reset during this new moon. So just arrive and settle into your mat and your practice. And this is your time. And just tune into your breath without trying to change anything. Just notice where you're at this particular time and space. Find some connection with the base of your spine to the earth. And extend your spine long. And relax your shoulders and soften your jaw. And just allow your breath to flow. We'll start to do some complete yogic breathing. In yoga, we do a breath that creates this audible sound at the back of the throat by constricting. It's like you're trying to fog up a mirror. So as you start to extend your diaphragm and bring in breath through your lower lungs, up through your side body, and bring the breath all the way up to the top of your lungs. See if you can reach it to your collarbones. And hold for just a brief moment. And then exhale your breath as slowly as you can, making that constricted audible sound at the back of your throat. Holding at the bottom of the exhale. And then start the cycle all over again. Begin by extending your belly to fill your lungs from the bottom up into your side body, up through your chest to your collarbones, and holding, and then exhaling as slowly as you can. And begin to breathe on your own in this manner. And just know that your breath is your anchor throughout your practice. That audible sound that you make at the exhale, that ujjayi breath, can be your reminder that you're breathing, you're tuning in. And at any point in your practice, if you experience a sticky moment, just keep coming back to your breath. This will inform you if you're pushing yourself a little too far. You shouldn't experience pain. Discomfort comes with growth. So going past that discomfort to pain, use your breath as that guide to show you where you're at, to find your equilibrium. And maybe you do need to push yourself a little further and challenge yourself. In life, we are presented with challenges. Use your breath as that reminder that you are present to the moment. And let's start out our practice with our hand at our heart and a hand at our belly. And so our belly is that core. Just sense your breath filling from your belly and then up through your chest. And just use the energy of your palms to tune in. And see if you can find an intention that can carry you through your practice today. It could be just one word. I'm going to use the word trust. Anytime I feel distracted, or I notice my breathing is off, I can just use my intention to bring me back. So let's start out our warm up on our hands and knees with palms underneath shoulders and knees underneath hips, starting out with a neutral spine. And then as you inhale, come into cow pose, bringing your chest forward, gazing up, tipping your tailbone. And as you exhale, come into cat position, curling your back the opposite direction, letting your tail and your head drop, and maybe coming into child's pose. On the inhale, come up into kneeling prayer, reaching your arms skyward, exhaling, hands to heart. And then we're going to come into gate on the right side, bringing the left arm overhead, breathing through your side body, then coming back to all fours, hands and knees. Extending your right arm long and your left leg behind you. This opposite leg and arm extension helps to balance the left and right hemispheres. See if you can find a neutral pelvis. And as you exhale, bring your elbow and knee together. And then inhale to extend. Coming back to all fours, hands and knees. And we're going to do everything on the other side. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Coming to child's pose. And then inhaling up for kneeling prayer. Exhaling, hands to heart. And finding gate on the other side. Breathing through your right side body. Coming back to all fours, hands and knees. Extending your left arm long and your right leg long behind you. Finding your neutral pelvis. And use your exhale, curl your elbow and knee together. Inhale to extend. And complete these dynamic movements on your own at your own pace. Using your breath as a guide. Just trusting the wisdom of your body as it knows what it needs. And if you want to create any other movement or improvise, just trust the guidance of your body and your breath. We're going to complete one more round on each side. And go ahead and finish off your last two sides on the right and the left. And when you've completed on both sides, meet me in child's pose. And from child's pose, just notice your breath through your back body. See if you can sense breath in new spaces throughout your back body. Just know that child's pose is always a place you can come back to. It's a place to reset. Maybe by placing your forehead on the mat, you can activate your third eye, which is the seat of your intuition. It's also your moon center. We're going to prepare to come into our first downward facing dog. Spread your fingers well, placing emphasis onto the pads of your fingertips. And once you have that connection, you can begin to tuck your toes and start to lift your knees and raise your hips into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Savasana. Maybe pedaling your heels at first. The first downward facing dog. Many of us have tight hamstrings, so your heels do not need to touch. And creating movement might alleviate tension. See if you can find broadened shoulders, lifting through the hips, allowing your neck to hang between your shoulders. And we're going to start to walk towards the front of our mat in a standing forward fold. On the next inhale, begin to look forward, bend your knees, and start to walk towards the front of your mat. See if you can place your chest on your thighs by bending your knees and just allow your neck to hang long. And just imagine releasing tension with each exhale. Grabbing opposite elbows, just to allow a little more weight to let your neck hang. Just seeing if you can let go a little more with each exhale. Begin to sway side to side. Maybe shaking your head up and down as well as left and right. Just using the weight and momentum to release tension out your neck. We're going to begin to roll up one vertebrae at a time into standing position. And once you're in standing position, see if you can find your ankle to knee to hip alignment so that you have a solid line coming down from your hips. As each of our bodies are different, so that alignment's going to look different for all of us. And next, find your foot connection. This is going to be the foundation of Tadasana, of mountain pose. See if you can find all four corners of your feet equally distributed on your mat. And if you tend to go inward or outward on your feet, see if you can exaggerate the other direction. In all our standing positions, if you can just maintain that foot connection, you're going to have stability. And once you have this connection, next concentrate on the Mula Bandha. This is near the base of the spine and the perineum area. See if you can find a slight lifting. This is going to send energy down your legs. This is going to create a root lock. And once you have this, engage through your core. This is going to create more of a boundary, and this is going to be the stability of much of your poses. This is going to create the strength and the foundation as well. Next, broaden through your shoulders and extend through your neck long. All of this in standing. All these little movements will keep you in alignment. On the inhale, begin to raise your arms overhead. And as you exhale, shift to your right for crescent pose. Inhaling back to center. Exhale to your left for crescent. Inhaling back for center. As you exhale, bring your palms to your brow center. This is your third eye. It's your moon center, a seat of your intuition. On the next exhale, bringing your palms to your heart center. This is the sun center. As you exhale, coming to a forward fold. Inhale your heart forward. And as you exhale, begin to step to plank and hold. We'll be here for 3 full breaths. See if you can engage through your core, find stability using your breath. On your next exhale, lower to your mat, resting your chest. We're going to come into a baby cobra pose. Begin to anchor through the tops of your feet, hugging through your midline, and engaging through your core. As you inhale, begin to raise your heart, lifting your neck, extending out. See if you can find a lifting and an extension. This is going to begin to open your heart chakra. As you exhale, begin to lower. And as you come up into cobra pose again, you can have a little more extension or maybe play with some different hand placements. On the inhale, begin to raise. Still finding that extension with your neck. And exhaling back to your mat. We're going to find our way to downward facing dog from here. You can always come into child's pose. From downward facing dog, inhale to extend your right leg long behind you. As you exhale, curl your knee in towards your chest and begin to step it towards your palms. We're going to set the back knee down. And on the inhale, raise your arms overhead for a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. And then we're going to start to warm up our hips by placing our palms on the mat and start to rock back and forth. On the exhale, straightening the front leg. On the inhale, coming forward, bringing your heart forward. Use your breath as you create this movement. And just notice any tension or tightness in your knees or your hips. See if you can send breath through those areas. And the next time you come forward, hold, and then bring your palms into the inside of your right foot and start to wiggle your right foot out to the edge of your mat. We're gonna prepare to come into lizard pose. This is a good option right here to stay upright. You can even use a prop if you need a little more height. This is gonna create a stretch through your right hip socket. If you want a little more challenge, you can come down onto your forearms for lizard pose. You can always come back up. Use your breath to guide how far you want to go in this pose. On the next inhale, come back up onto your palms. And find your way to downward facing dog from here. Inhale to extend your left leg long behind you. As you exhale, begin to curl your knee in toward your chest and step it toward your palms. And rest your back knee on your mat. As you inhale, coming up into a low lunge. See if you can find a neutral pelvis, an extended spine. And then we're going to start to create movement, bringing your palms to the mat. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Using your breath to guide how far or how fast you are going. The next time you come forward, hold, and then bring your palms in towards the inside of your left foot and start to wiggle your foot out to the edge of the mat. You can stay upright here on your palms. Or if you want a little more challenge, you can come into lizard pose, bringing your forearms onto the mat. See if you can breathe through your left hip socket. On the next inhale, come up onto your palms and make your way to downward facing dog. On the next inhale, begin to look forward, bend your knees, and step or hop towards the front of your mat. Inhaling your heart forward, exhale to fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhaling, hands to heart. Inhaling your arms overhead. Exhale to come to a forward fold. Inhaling your heart forward. And as you exhale, begin to step to plank and hold. Exhale to lower all the way to the mat. And we're going to set up for locust pose or Shalabhasana. So we're going to use the same movement as we went into Cobra, but this time we're going to send our arms back. On the inhale, begin to anchor through your pelvis and begin to lift through your heart, extending your neck, and then begin to lift your back thighs. You can stay here, or if you'd like a little more challenge, you can come into bow pose by bringing your ankles towards your palms and maybe clasping that would give you a little more lift. You can always come out and come into locust pose. So you're creating a little more opening to your heart chakra. Exhale to lower to your mat. And finding your way to downward facing dog from here. Inhale to extend your right leg long behind you. As you exhale, begin to curl your knee in towards your chest and step it toward your palms. We're going to pivot the back foot down and rise up into warrior two from here. Inhale for Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. First, find your foot alignment. See if you can anchor through all four corners of your feet to find that stability at the Pada Bandha. Engaging through your strong legs. Finding your center from the base of your spine all the way up to the top of your head. Engaging through your core. Extending out through your fingertips. As you exhale, begin to reverse your warrior. And then on the exhale, coming into extended side angle, maybe resting your right elbow on your knee, on your thigh. And see if you can find one long line from the outside edge of your ankle all the way out through your fingertips. Breathing through your left side body. So you can see if you can find integrity through your core. You can find a bind from here if you want to take a bind, or you can stay in side angle. See if you can look towards the sky, the ceiling, find that opening through the side body. And we're going to come into triangle pose from here. You can stay in your bind or you can come out of your bind. Finding triangle by straightening your front leg. Using your breath. We're going to come into regular triangle from here. Finding your arm extension. On the next exhale, begin to cartwheel your palms towards the mat. And finding your transition to downward facing dog, you can always come into child's pose or you can take a vinyasa. Finding your way to downward facing dog. We'll be in downward facing dog for 3 full breaths. Use this time to check in, engage where you're at this point of your practice. On the next inhale, begin to look forward, bend your knees, and step or hop towards the front of your mat. Inhaling your heart forward. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhaling, hands to heart. I'm going to shift to the other side of my mat so that I can mirror you. I'm going to do everything on the other side that we just did. Inhaling your arms overhead. Exhale to forward fold. Inhaling your heart forward. Exhale to step to plank and hold. This time it's yogi's choice. You can come to your mat and you can find cobra, you can find bow, you can come into child's pose, or you can take a vinyasa. It's yogi's choice. Finding your transition to downward facing dog. Inhale to extend your left leg long behind you. As you exhale, begin to curl your knee in towards your chest and step it toward your palms. And pivot your right foot down flat onto the mat. And as you inhale up for warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Finding your foot placement alignment, the stability through all four corners, then engagement through your Mula Bandha, through your core, and broadening through your chest, and extension through your fingertips. As you exhale, begin to reverse your warrior, looking up toward your palms, and breathing through your left side body. As you exhale, finding extended side angle from here, finding that line from your ankle through to your fingertips. And you're going to start to rotate your torso up towards the ceiling, finding that engagement through your side body. You can stay in extended side angle, or you can find a bind using your breath to find space within more of a constricted pose. We're going to shift into triangle pose from here. You can maintain the bind, or you can come out, straightening your front leg, finding triangle pose. And if you haven't already, finding regular triangle. On the next exhale, cartwheeling your palms towards your mat and finding your transition to downward facing dog. You can always come into child's pose or come straight into downward facing dog. We'll be in downward facing dog for 3 full breaths. On the next inhale, begin to bend your knees, looking forward, and step or hop towards the front of your mat. Inhaling your heart forward. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhaling, hands to heart. So we're going to start with our moon salutation, and this is going to be the more the receptive part of the practice. And when you do moon salutations under a new moon or a full moon, you have the benefit of receiving information from the universe. You're tuning in, you're listening. So we're going to start on the other side of the mat. Inhale your arms overhead. Exhale to shift to your right for crescent pose. Inhale for center. Exhale to shift to your left. Inhale for center. And as you exhale, begin to step your left leg wide along your mat for star position. This is going to be your full moon expression, taking up as much space as you can as you're reflecting the light of the sun. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. And next we're going to shift into triangle pose. So start to shift your left foot towards the other side of your mat, extending your left arm forward, and then finding your triangle pose. This is the waning gibbous phase of the moon. See if you can find integrity through your side body, through your core. Using your breath. Next, we're going to shift into a pyramid pose from here. Start to parallel your hips towards the end of the mat. Maybe hopping that back foot in, finding a slight bend to your front knee. As you inhale, begin to extend your spine. And as you exhale, hinging from your hips, Finding length to your spine as you fold forward. As your moon is continuing to wane. Next, you're going to place your back knee down, finding a low lunge. Inhaling your arms overhead. This is your quarter moon expression. See if you can find a neutral pelvis. And next, you're going to shift to your left side for a surfer's pose or Skandasana. This is your crescent phase of the moon. The last little sliver before it becomes invisible in the new moon cycle. Next, exhale to the center for your Malasana squat. This is your new moon expression. So as you take time to be still in this phase of the moon, is a powerful time to set intentions. It's active a few days before and a few days after. If you take time to stop and listen, this will set you on a course for the next cycle of the moon. And you'll start to receive information from the universe of how to align and be more of a co-creator. What are the long-range visions that you see for yourself throughout this year? How can you tune into your heart center and create that foundation that is in line with yourself and your intentions? As you exhale, shift your right for Skandasana or surfer's pose. Your moon is beginning to wax. You can start to find your hand placement, maybe in a prayer position, or maybe extending your arms out or placing your palms on your mat. This is where your intentions are starting to take seed. Next, we're going to shift into that low lunge, placing that back knee on the mat. Inhaling your arms overhead for that first quarter moon. As your moon is continuing to wax. And next we're going to come to pyramid from the ground up. Begin to hop that back foot in. See if you can find extension through your spine, maybe a little more bend to your knees so that you can create that length. As you're starting to approach that gibbous phase of the moon. And next we're going to find triangle from the ground up. Start to hop that back foot out a little and start to bring the left arm up like a clock striking midnight for your triangle pose, for your gibbous phase. Finding integrity through your side body. And next we're going to come into star, mindfully coming up, finding star. This is your full moon. You have just completed a lunar cycle, taking up as much space as you can. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. I'm going to go to the other side of the mat so I can mirror you, and we're going to complete everything we just did on the other side of the body. Inhaling your arms overhead. Exhale to shift your right for crescent. Inhale for center. Exhale to your left for crescent. Inhale for center. And as you exhale, begin to step your right foot wide along the mat for star pose. This is your full moon, taking up space, emanating and reflecting. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. And next we're going to pivot our hips towards the back of the mat, reaching that right arm forward and finding your triangle pose for your waning gibbous phase. And next you're going to parallel your hips towards the other side of the mat, hopping that back foot in. We're going to find pyramid pose, inhaling to extend your spine as you exhale, hinging from your hips. Maybe a slight micro bend to that front knee so that you can have extension through your spine. So your moon is continuing to wane. On the next exhale, setting that back knee down and finding your low lunge from here. Inhaling your arms overhead for the quarter moon expression. Exhale to shift to your right for Skandasana or surfer's pose. This is your crescent phase. Finding your hand placement that feels right. And next, finding the center of your mat for your new moon expression in Malasana squat. And tuning into your intention for this next cycle. As things speed up around you, it might come a little chaotic. Keep tuning into your center to find your true connection with the universe and yourself. As you become centered, you start to reflect this light outwards. And people can start to resonate with what they're sensing as you're becoming a channel to the universe. And just know that the changes around us are a necessary part of our growth. And what things appear to be may not be so in the overall cycle of things. And know that we're shifting to a new dimension, a new way of being. What seems apparent in this third dimension really is just one reality. As we become more on board, more online, fully present through our breath, we start to tune into these other frequencies. And we start to embody other dimensions through our hearts and our minds and our souls. And start to align with that universal love, the ever abundant source that connects us to all. Next, we're going to shift to our left for our first crescent phase after the new moon. Finding your hand placement. As our ideas, our intentions are starting to take seed, starting to create a little stir. And next, coming into that low lunge on the other side, placing the back knee down. Inhaling your arms overhead for your first quarter moon expression. As your moon is continuing to wax. And next we're going to come to pyramid from the ground up, hopping that back foot in. Seeing if you can find extension through your spine. And remembering to breathe. No matter what is going on around us, we always have our breath to anchor us. We're going to shift into triangle pose from the ground up, hopping that back foot out, and start to dial your right arm up to the sky like a clock striking midnight. Finding strength through your side body, using your breath. And next we're going to come into star from the ground up mindfully, starting to pivot up, taking up as much space as we can as we completed a full lunar cycle, reflecting and emanating light. Exhale for goddess. Inhale for star. We're going to come into a wide leg forward fold. Start to point your feet parallel. Inhale to extend your spine. As you exhale, begin to hinge from your hips and place your palms underneath your shoulders, finding a neutral spine. And then we're going to find a wide leg forward fold twist. So place your left palm underneath your nose. As you inhale, begin to point your elbow and then your palms towards the ceiling for your twist. Think about exhaling toxins each time you exhale. And the next exhale to unwind, placing your right palm underneath your nose. As you inhale, begin to find your twist on the other side and reaching your left palm up towards the sky. Your next exhale to unwind and start to reach your palms out in front of you for downward facing dog arms. Finding a nice back extension. And then coming through the other side, placing your palms out towards the posterior side so that your head can hang between your legs for this gentle inversion. Maybe bending your knees slightly. Next, placing your palms underneath your shoulders for a neutral spine, and we're going to start to come upwards, placing your palms on your hips. As you inhale, begin to hinge up. As you exhale, hopping your feet together. And we're going to find our way down to our mats, coming into a Malasana squat. And then coming all the way down onto your mat, finding your sits bones, and extend your legs out in front of you, maybe pulling the flesh out from underneath to find contact with your spine and your sits bones. We're coming into a forward fold from here. Inhale to extend your arms overhead. Exhale to hinge. Using the inhale for extension and the exhale to hinge forward. And when you have as much extension as you can get, then you can start to round over. Inhale to roll up. And we're going to start to come into a twist from here. So take your right foot and put it over your left knee. And start to kickstand your left arm behind you. And as you inhale, extend your right arm overhead. And as you exhale, begin to hook it towards the inside of your knee. As you inhale, extend your spine. And as you exhale, start to look towards your left shoulder. Using the exhales to release toxins. Think of your organs like a sponge, with each exhale releasing and letting go. And exhale to unwind. We're going to do everything on the other side. So bringing the left foot around the right knee, kickstanding the right arm behind you. On the inhale, to extend your left arm overhead, and then start to hinge that elbow towards your knee. Inhale to extend, and exhale to twist, looking toward your right shoulder. Using the inhales for extensions and the exhales for the twist. Think about letting go with each exhale. And exhale to unwind. We're gonna find the boat pose from here in Navasana to engage through our cores. So start to come back onto your sits bones as you extend your feet out in front of you. You can keep your knees bent, or you can find some extension. You can keep a hold of your legs, or you can release to have a little more of a leverage. This is gonna give you a little more engagement through your core. Use your breath to stabilize. We'll be here for 5 breaths. On the last exhale, coming into your butterfly pose as a resting point, maybe giving yourself a foot massage. We're going to come into boat pose 2 more times. So when you're ready, coming back onto your sits bones and extending your feet out in front of you. Using your breath. You've got this. Exhaling for your butterfly or Baddha Konasana. Maybe flapping your wings. And when you're ready, one more time for boat pose. Coming onto your sits bones and extending your feet out in front of you. And using your breath. Exhale to release. And then bending your knees. And start to lower your back onto the mat, 1 vertebrae at a time, using your core as you lower to slow down that movement. We're going to come into a bridge pose from here. So see if you can graze your fingertips onto your ankles. And as you come up into bridge, first we're anchoring through our feet to find that connection, and then engaging through your thighs as you start to lift your hips. Then you're coming up onto your shoulders, placing the weight on your shoulders as you raise your hips. And exhale to lower. When you come down to rest, see if you can find the small of your back and connect it to your mat. The next time we come up into bridge pose, you can start to work your palms together, and this will give you a little more leverage. First, finding that foot connection, engaging through your feet as you start to lift through your hips, using your thighs. Then if you have the room, you can start to work your palms together, and this is going to give you a little more distribution of weight onto your arms and your shoulders. This will give you a slight more lift through your hips. Exhale to lower to your mat. Start to hug your knees in towards your chest, rocking side to side to give yourself a low back massage. And bring your knees at a 90-degree angle. We're going to come into reclined pigeon from here. So start to bring your right ankle over your left knee in a figure 4. And then you can clasp underneath your knee or your thigh. And you can create as much leverage as you need. This is going to create resistance to your right hip socket. See if you can send breath through your hips. See if you can release any tension or emotional residue with each exhale. Exhale to release. We're going to come into that figure 4 on the other side, placing your left ankle over your right knee and starting to weave your hands underneath your knee or your thigh to create that leverage. This is going to send energy to your left hip socket. You might notice one side is tighter than the other. See if you can send breath to find the release you need. Exhale to release, hugging your knees in towards your chest, and maybe finding happy baby pose from here. We're going to complete our practice and come into our final relaxation pose. So taking any final poses that you need to complete your practice, maybe a reclined twist, just taking what you need to complete. And when you're ready, finding your Shavasana, your final relaxation pose, you can always come up into a seated position for meditation, yogi's choice. As you come into your final pose, use this as a time to reset and renew. As your body has the wisdom to realign with all the prana that is available. As your neurological system is readjusting. Your synapses are firing in a different way. And there's nothing that you need to do as your body has the wisdom it needs to adjust. As you let go and just allow and receive. See if with each exhale you can let go just a little bit more. Letting go of any to-do lists, anything that your mind thinks it needs to grasp towards. Just see if you can let go a little more. Om Shanti. 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 And beginning to deepen your breath, finding some small movements, maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes as you start to come into more active being. Finding some stretches as you need to transition to seated position. Once you're in seated position, bringing your hands to your heart center and tuning into that intention that you set for yourself at the beginning of practice. Using this intention to align with the universe and with yourself as the things, people, and places and events around you might seem to speed up or become distorted, you always have your alignment with yourself, your core, your center, your truth through the vehicle of your breath and intention. As you start to feed these parts of yourself, you become a beacon of light to others around you, and the vibration begins to shift. And just know that this cycle is part of an overall cycle. And as you start to become an example for others, you'll find a little more harmony and grace and courage as others around you begin to awaken as well. The teacher in me honors and sees the teacher in you. Thank you.